Hey y'all. So I'm going to be doing some points on Exodus, the 32nd chapter. I'm staying in the 32nd. So if you have time, go and read this in your own time if this is for you. But this is around the time when Moses went up the mountain and the people was they started becoming rebellious. Now keep in mind, around this time God had already led them out of Egypt, so they was in the wilderness. And while he was up the mountain, they asked Aaron to build them a calf, and they started worshiping this calf. So in the 32nd chapter, the 22nd through the 23rd verse, this when Aaron answered Moses when Moses came down, because Moses heard a lot of celebration, and he said, "Don't be angry, sir. You know that these people are always ready to do wrong. The people said to me, Moses led us out of Egypt, but we don't know what has happened to him. So make us some gods to lead us." So, y'all, these people had been saved, delivered, set free from bondage, and from under the hands of Pharaoh in Egypt. So once they got into this wilderness, and I want to talk to somebody because God told me to give you this message. Once you got set free from under the hands of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh probably was their enemy that was constantly attacking you, but God has set you free, so now you're in the wilderness like God's children. So just like they got in the wilderness, they started being disobedient, meaning that they started worshiping other gods. Just like the word said, they started worshiping a calf. They got to the point to where they started wanting to do things on their own. And it's somebody that is sitting in the wilderness, and you have, got set free, and you get to the point now to where you have put God on the back burner. Even though God is the one that delivered you from the hands of Pharaoh. But you have been in your wilderness, and you have forgot about God to where you have started worshiping other gods. You have started idolizing other things to where you have forgotten who bought you out of that slavery. But let me tell you what God told me to tell you. This is Exodus, the 23rd chapter, the 2nd verse. Don't do something just because everyone else is doing it. If you see a group of people doing wrong, don't join them. You must not let them persuade you to do wrong things. You must do what is right and fair. And let me tell you something. The reason why God told me to bring that verse is because it's people right now that is in their wilderness. And you have started to follow the crowd. And that's what happened when the Israelites was in the wilderness. You had one that started speaking against Moses. And so, guess what? Then a crowd came along, and they started cheering on and amening what somebody else is saying. So now they're following the crowd. God said that you have been delivered and set free. You is in your wilderness, but you are being disobedient. It's all connected to the other messages that I've been putting out. God said the reason why you're still sitting in your wilderness, because you have got in the wilderness and decide that you want to follow other people. I talked about that yesterday. And not only that, you have started to bow down to other gods because you have allowed the crowd to pull you in. And guess who the crowd is? The crowd is the ones that has been sitting in the wilderness for so long. I told y'all a while back, don't make the wilderness your home. Because some people has got comfortable and they have forgotten about God. They forgot that God was the one that rescued them. And not only that, some of these people got in the wilderness, they started speaking against Moses, the one that God sent. God have sent people to you. And you have started rebel against these people. You have started rejecting the very one that God has sent to help you, to lead you into the promised land. And just like the Israelites, some of them decide that they wanted to rebel against Moses. But all the time, they was rebelling against God. And it's someone that's listening to me. God has sent someone your way to help you, to lead you through that wilderness, to help you, that have helped you to get set free from Pharaoh. And once you got in that wilderness, you decide you want to reject and rebel against God and the one that he have sent. But God said that everybody, and I know this not going, some people ain't going to like to hear this, but I'm going to tell you, everybody is not going to make it out the wilderness. Exodus, the 32nd chapter, the 33rd verse. But the Lord said to Moses, the only people I erase from my book are those who sin against me. So now go down and lead the people where I tell you to go. My angel will go before you and lead you. When the time comes to punish those who sin, they will be punished. So the Lord caused a terrible sickness to come to the people. He did this because they told Aaron to make the golden calf. It's some people, and just like in the word, God told me, just like some of his people, they did not see the promised land. They never made it out of the wilderness. I want to tell you that some people, God said you is not going to make it out the wilderness because you have decided to turn your back against him in the very one that he have sent to help you to get to the promised land. God said that you have decided to start worshiping other gods in your wilderness. God said that you have decided to allow other people to lead you in another direction, just like what I've been saying. Y'all, the wilderness, I told you in the last couple messages, it's all about obedience. A lot of these people, the Israelites, was disobedient. And guess what? They never seen the promised land. I want to tell somebody that God said some people is not going to make it after wilderness. They will never see the promised land. All because they chose to rebel and be disobedient to God. And you got in the wilderness acting brand new. As if God was not the one that saved you. As if God was not the one that rescued you. But you have got in the wilderness and have allowed people, things to lead and guide you in the wrong direction. The messages connect. Go back to my page and watch the last two messages. They all connect. God said some people is not going to see their promised land because they rebel against him and decide to start worshiping and putting other things before him in their wilderness. God said some people not going to see their promised land because they chose sin and did not choose God. You have complained. You have done what you wanted to do in that wilderness. You have bowed down to other gods. You have sinned. You have led the crowd. You have allowed to let the crowd lead you in another direction. God said, you won't see the promise. This is for somebody because you have rebelled against God.